we have a perceptual field. We're looking into the world with our eyes. We're listening with our ears. And we feel, on our skin. And, we've got all of these senses going on. And that tends to make us lean into the perceptual field, which appears to be out in front of us, like on a screen, like on a curved computer monitor. We don't see what's behind us. That's black all the time. We just sense what's behind us. And that's a good sense to develop. That's why I tell people, think of it like a heat lamp on your back. You can't see it, but you definitely feel that it's there.
Yes.
But the thing is, we're leaning into our field, of our perceptual field. And so what we're doing is we're leaning out of where we actually are. You say, this is where we actually are, that true vertical. But we're leaning out of it. You see, and that apparent self is what we call the ego. That's like it's an identification with your perceptual field and all of its contents, and all of your ideas about it, and all of your feelings about it. All of that goes to make up this persona that is leaning into the world.
Leaning into the matrix, yes.
Yeah. I think it's it's what the myth of Narcissus is about. He falls in love with his own image, which means he's attracted to it, right? I mean, he falls into the water and drowns, and that's the way people do. We fall into our perceptual field. We get so immersed in the world that we forget that it's just what we're perceiving, which is very limited. I mean, just a small sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum do we ever see.
Yes.
And so imagine what else is there, not just visual, but auditory. We know that there are lots of sounds we can't hear, both low and high. We have a narrow range there. But can we hear the voices of people on the other side? You see, that's a whole nother dimension. So the reason we meditate, and especially, and meditation is almost useless unless you really do something with it. And the main thing we do with it is we get into the light. You see, we call down the light, we get into the light. That's why we back up into it, because you're leaning into the world, your perceptual field. So as we lean back, then we come into alignment with that true vertical, which identifies each one of us on the planet. It's kind of like our GPS coordinates.
The axis mundi.
Yes, that's true vertical, and we all have it, because we're on the surface of the planet. The planet has a center, and the line that goes from the center of the planet up through us, that's true vertical. And that's where we actually are. But because we're leaning into our perceptions, into this matrix, this construction that we've got going, and it's not to say that that's not real. I mean, it is. Because we're working with a medium that is very real, and we're just putting a frame on it. We're framing it in certain ways that makes it then show up for us in certain ways. And we do that consensually as well. We all agree, okay, this is what the world looks like. We check in with each other all the time. So part of meditation is to become an independent thinker and to break away from those consensuses and really start to look for yourself. But in order to look that way, you have to back up into your column of light where you really are, and then look from there. You see, it's like the way I say, you can get up out of your chair, your body's in your chair, and you can get out of your body and look at yourself from the side, from the standpoint of your observer self, your higher self. And that's great, because you step out and then you're focused on you. But what if you step out of your body and then you look around where it is? You step out of your body, you're in another place. Where are you? You're part in this world and part in the next. So then you can look around and say, okay, where am I? My body's there in the chair, was looking at it. Now I'm looking at where I am. And who can I contact while there? You see, there, if I call on the master, if I call on Raphael, somebody significant like that, then what happens? You see, you want to experiment with that. So this is the axis mundi.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it describes the world of three dimensions because you've got height and width and depth. You see, those are the three dimensions. So this is the basic architecture that governs our perceptual field.
Height, width, breadth, three dimensions where we're.
And these coordinates are real. We don't want to, conflate them with each other, because depth is different from width. But if we twirl this, then we realize that we've got a central axis with a disk that extends out laterally in all directions. So if I'm at my third eye level, I've got this going on at the level of the third eye. The power is coming down, and when it hits that chakra, then my awareness spreads out laterally. And the same in the throat, and the same in the heart, and all the way down. So this vertical axis is like the Sushumna current, the central current of the spiritual body. And as it comes down and it encounters each chakra, then it's going to express from there, you see, as this radial field. So the power comes down and then it radiates out. That's the cross of Christ. When you go into meditation, the most important part of meditation is the light. You want to connect with it, and don't worry if it doesn't show up as bright white light. Like you have this fantastic inner light experience. You can feel it. You can feel it the same way. If you need help, just get a candle, put it on the table in front of you, and watch the flame. Watch how the light propagates from the flame. You see, because it's going out in all directions like that. It's an expansive, never-ending light. Continually propagates from it. You see, you get a feeling for that, and then you internalize that, and you realize that you've got this same action going on within you. And then you back up into that, and then there will be a point at which you become that is you, because it is. That's the nature of our being. We are like radiant points of awareness, power of God coming into us, and we're like a little star. When we have those experiences, they're hard to reproduce. And the main reason why they're hard to reproduce is because when we have the experience, it changes us and we acclimatize to it. In other words, we get used to it. And so it becomes part of our baseline. It becomes part of our everyday experience, and we become, that. So we don't realize that it's like when you eat food, the food tastes great when you're eating it, but then once you swallow it, you forget about it. But it doesn't disappear, right? The nutrients in the food go into the body.
Yeah.
So when we swallow light like that, then the light goes into our spiritual body and becomes part of it. And so that our level then, our baseline, is higher. And so the same amount of energy that gave us that initial experience won't have the same spectacular effect, because it's coming in without any resistance. Go into the light, focus on the column of light. And really, what it is, it's your core energy. But because you're leaning forward into life, your core is behind you. See, we're caught up in our physical body, and we're leaning forward into the world with our physical body, into our perceptual field. So we just relax and then back up, and actually lean back into it. And then all we're doing is we're producing an alignment between our physical body and our spiritual body, because the physical body is leaning into it, leaning into the world. So we bring it back, and when it aligns, then you'll feel the connection, and you'll feel a movement of energy. So when you sit in meditation, do that and just be in that as long as you can. And then when you come out of it, just forget about it, let it go until next time. But just realize that you've plugged in and you've received a massive download, not only of power, but of information. Experiment with it. You know, you go in there and feel it connect, and then connect with your nerves, and then watch what happens in there. Where's the energy going? Where is it not going? Is there part of your body where there's a block? And if you do this long enough, you can start to see those blocks, and then you can release them. You know, the same way you relax your muscles, you can relax those energy blocks. Consciousness is not limited to your physical body. Your consciousness goes wherever you want it to go. You're not your consciousness. Your consciousness is like a tool you have. You're just pure awareness. But consciousness is awareness aware of something. You see, it's two, not just one. Awareness is just one, just total awareness. And that's where you want to go in your meditations, and just get away from all of your perceptual field, go into that oneness, and just be in there as long as possible, and then come back out, you know, and just do what you need to do. But keep going back, keep going back. You go in and come out, you go in, you come out. We're aware, but awareness is singular. It is, if you can imagine going in, you know, being aware, but without being aware of something. It's awareness aware of itself. So when we're in awareness, we're in non-dual consciousness. And then when we open our eyes and we look at something, now we're in consciousness, because we're conscious of something. There's the I and there's the it. You say, awareness is like the driver in a car. What's happening around the car, that's your field of perception. See, if you can distinguish between your awareness and your consciousness, then it's a way easier to distinguish between who you are and your perceptual field. So here's your perceptual field, these three axes. When we withdraw our awareness from our perceptual field and we come back into the center, this is the world of 3 dimensions. This is the 0 dimension. We withdraw our attention from our perceptual field, and we like a turtle draws its limbs and its head into its shell, we draw our awareness out of our perceptual field into awareness itself. In other words, awareness becomes aware of itself. And in there is no objective at all. And there's no subjective, it's just it. It's just awareness. You know, when you do that, you're really building a tremendous amount of energy. Because all the energy that ever was or will be is in this 0 dimension. That's where all the potential for everything is. All the energy in the universe is right in the center. That's what those theologians were talking about when they said that God is a circle, the center is everywhere, and the circumference is nowhere. You and I have the same center, but we're thousands of miles apart. But it's the same center. See, that's abstract. That's you've got to be able to think abstractly in terms of principle. Awareness is awareness. It's just awareness. We have to go over this over and over. It's just necessary, because it's so different from what St. Paul called the carnal mind. It's so different from the way the earth mind thinks that we have to keep going over it.